Hey, it's Elizabeth here, and I wanted to come on and do a video response to a question that Megan left on my YouTube channel here. So her question was, how much time do I spend on the Fobonichi? And so what I thought I'd do is come on and just kind of show you what I used to do last year and what I'm doing this year. Also, thank you, Megan, so much for your lovely comments about how the tips that I've given have been helpful to you. I'm so glad and thankful for that, and I'm glad I was able to help. So let's just look at last year's book, or one of last year's book. This was my November-December Fobonichi, and what I used to do is use composition books. When I first started out, doing the Fobonichi, I started with composition books because I didn't know if I'd be consistent with it. So I didn't want to go out and, buy a certain book or any of that kind of stuff. I just wanted to use what I had and see if I was going to be consistent with it. As it turned out, I was consistent with it, and I have 6 beautiful Fobonichi composition books to prove it. And I'm so glad that I did it. So glad that I found the group Fobonichi Journalers. And yeah. So what I used to do with the composition books is I would, let me just show you in here. I would, whoops, there's a text, I guess. I'll get it later. I used to glue 3 pages. Let me see if I can get it. Oh, I used to glue 3 pages together, okay, to make the pages more thick and to prevent bleed through. And I use a variety of different types of inks and pens and paints and various things in my books. Colored pencils, flares, stickers, clip art, washi tape, all kinds of different stuff. Excuse me, there's Fred. He says hi. And so when I first started out and I was gluing all the pages together, I'm not going to lie, it was an arduous task. It took me a long time to glue all of the pages together in the book. And so as I was finishing out the year, I decided that I was going to move into a Midori insert for this year for a couple of reasons. One of the reasons is the size. Okay, if you look at the composition book, I don't know, I'm sorry, I don't have a ruler in here with me, but it's a standard composition book. And the Midori book is that size in comparison. So it's a lot smaller. It's a lot smaller. I believe the Midori inserts are like, is it like 11 centimeters across by 22 centimeters high, maybe something like that. So yeah, it's about half, almost half the size, maybe, of a composition book, and it's about, oh golly, I don't even know, like an inch shorter. Okay, so the reason I decided to start using these, well, there were a couple of reasons. Number one is the size. Like I said, it was smaller, and so I was spending a large amount of time decorating my pages and doing everything that I was doing. Not that it wasn't fun. I loved it. I had a great time doing it. But yeah, I need to, this year one of my goals was to work on other things besides Fobonichiing, like, I don't know, maybe taking care of my family and possibly even getting a toilet cleaned once in a while. So yeah, so to cut down on the time that I use, or that I was using to spend time in this book, which I thoroughly enjoyed, I decided to move to a smaller book. Now, also using the Midori book, I do not have to glue 3 pages together. Even though I am using still a lot of color, what I'm using for the color is Tim Holtz Distress Inks, so I'm no longer using my colored pencils unless I want to, color in a drawing or something that I do. I'm trying to use up a lot of the stuff that's in my stash. I'm still using clip art and things like that. But I don't, these are all single pages, and see how bright this pink is down here. It's dark and beautiful and bright. On this page, I use yellow. You can't even tell. It does not bleed through these pages. There are some pens that bleed through, like the gel pens bleed through, but I use those sparingly. Like I used it up there for the Whimsical Wednesday title. And then over on this side, like you can hardly even see it come through. The Flair pens don't really bleed through at all. What else? The Posca markers don't bleed through. No, I mean, nothing really bleeds through this thing unless you're going over and over and over it. So that part I liked, that I didn't have to spend, a week or more gluing my pages together and to prevent bleed through. So now I'm using this book, and like I said too, the pages are a lot smaller, so I have a lot less area to cover. Now, there are some days where I want to write more about what's going on, like I think one of these days back here, where was it? Oh, I think it was right here. Like on this particular Friday, I wanted to write about the glue book that I was doing. So I put a whole page toward that. Then I put a whole page about what was going on in my life at the time. And then I wanted to do the 5 on Friday separately. So I actually had, 1, 2, 3, 4 pages just for one day. Okay. Now let's get into the question about how long it takes me. Here's the thing. I have a chronic illness. If you've been on my channel for any length of time, you know that I cannot work on this daily. I just physically cannot. So I do what I can when I can. A lot of the times I'm working on multiple pages at one time, and they're all in varying stages of completion. So let's just look at, for instance, okay, today is February 8th, and these pages right here are back from Friday the 5th. So I have not completed Friday the 5th. I just put some of the things in. Saturday I did not complete. Sunday I've done nothing yet. And Monday I started doing some of the things to put in here for today. Today happens to be a bad day for me. I'm not feeling well, and so I am not going to be working in this book. Now, tomorrow, I might have some time to sit down, and in the case that I do and I'm feeling well enough, I will go ahead and knock out all these pages. And it'll probably take me a couple of hours if I sit down and do it all at one time. I'm not the type of person, I do not work in the book daily, even though I have daily entries, if that makes any sense. I work on several pages at a time. Sometimes I put post-it notes in, sometimes I don't. Sometimes I just try to remember, what happened that day. Like I know that on Friday, I was feeling very melancholy that day, and I was working on a collage journal. So I decided to clip out a bouquet of flowers to brighten my day. So I put that in there, and then I'll write about it, write about how I was feeling that day or what I was doing that day, that I worked in my collage journal that day. Then this day here, we did end up going down south, and this actually I put in my book yesterday because I was just sitting at my desk and I was like, oh, do I want to work on it? Do I not want to work on it? And so, yeah, I had gotten some washi tape, on Saturday, so I just stuck those in there. And then this happened to be just a pretty paper that was on my desk, so I cut a little corner out of it and just plopped it in there. And so I guess it's like I'm prepping the pages, so to speak. So I prep the pages sometimes for a couple of days in advance, and then I go back and fill in what was going on. Sometimes I use post-it notes, sometimes I don't. Sometimes I sit and I actually do a page on the actual day, which is a rarity, but sometimes it happens. Yeah, so that's basically how I do what I do. Still using, colorful hot mess style, still using clip art, trying to use up some of my, die cuts and little things. I'm not using the prompts this year very much. And so, yeah, I don't have the pockets anymore like I used to, with all the prompts in them and all of that. I'm not working on lettering prompts. I'm not doing drawing prompts. I'm not doing any of that because what I really was thinking about for this year is that I want these books to be about my life. I want, obviously it's a, basically a diary. And so it, for me this year, it's not about the prompts and all that kind of stuff. It's about getting my memories down on paper. And so that's what I intend to do this year, and that's how I do it. I work on different pages on different days. Even though I have daily entries, I have to work on it and do what I can when I can. So sometimes if I do have some time, a couple of hours here or there, I'll sit down and I'll knock out like 4 pages at one time. If I don't have that kind of time, then I just do this. I set up the pages and kind of, get them started, and then I can go back and fill them in later. So that's basically my process now. That's the new book that I'm using now is the Midori insert. Not the cheapest way to go. There are other like Fodori inserts that you can use. I happen to just want to start out using the Midori because I wanted to see about the paper quality because I had heard such great things about it. And it is truly, great paper. I enjoy it. I can use these bright, vibrant distress inks and they do not bleed through at all. Like, for instance, even this one, I used the blue, and the pink, and it kind of turned purple there. On this page here, I haven't put anything yet. And if I bring it up close to you, can you even, I don't know, I mean, the lighting's not that great, but I cannot see anything through that. I cannot see any, maybe like a tiny bit of shadowing, maybe. But I'm going to end up throwing color on this page too, so it's not going to matter in the end, because you're not going to be able to tell. Like on these pages back here, there's bright, bright orange, on this page here. And then on this page, it's all yellow. So you can't tell either way. See, this is all bright yellow on this page. And then even like over in here, you can't see any of that yellow at all. So, yeah, I like it, that it doesn't bleed through and all of that kind of stuff. This I used, hot pink, and you can't see it on this side. I used blue on this side. You can't see it on this side. So, personally, I think they're worth it just for the paper. But they are, we're talking probably they cost 7 to 10 times more than a composition book costs. So there might be, cheaper websites to get them from, but I used some of my gift cards, my Christmas gift cards, and just bought my books for the year. And I just got them off of Amazon. And yeah, so that's what I'm using. And that is kind of like my new process. And I'll do a flip through here of the of January fairly soon, I hope. But yeah, just wanted to come on and do a video response to Megan's question as to kind of like what my process now is and also how much time I take to do the pages, which I hope I explained it enough for you to understand. And I thank you all for your comments. And, if you ever have any questions, I would be glad to help you or to help out in any way that I can and tell you how I do things. Basically, though, you can use any kind of book you want. You can use just anything. I mean, even a spiral notebook. It doesn't really matter what you use. The only thing that matters is that you get memories down on the paper, you know. The color doesn't matter. The extra little doodads that, you know, that I put in here, they don't really matter. I mean, they, you know, do I think they make the page look pretty? Yes. But the main thing and the main reason I do this is to get memories down on paper. You know, this page here talks about, you know, going on ancestry.com and how my daughter and I had such a great time looking at all the leaves we got, and you know, talking about playing catch up and talking about the weather, and you know, just I'm talking about things that are going on in my life, and I'm writing it down, and you know, I think too with the smaller book, it helps me to focus more on specific things that are going on and not just trying to like fill an entire page, or you know, fill a 2-page spread or fill a whole, you know, page at one time. I think, if that makes any sense, I'm just kind of a little more picky about what I put in here. I put the things, you know, some days it's a synopsis of every little thing I did that day, like a day in the life kind of page. Other days it's just like you know, like, where was it, back in here somewhere? It was like, you know, a migraine day, you know, and I was gonna vlog. So you know, yeah, some days are busier than others. Some days I just choose to put in everything that I did that day, or some bits and bobs of what I did that day. And other times it's just, you know, one subject matter, you know, like art time and what I did during my art time. So it just all depends. And again, I hope this was helpful to you. And if you ever have any questions, you know, feel free to leave them below, and I will always get back to you. Thanks again for watching. Hope it helped. And I'll catch you next time, and it'll be on a flip.